I'm recording myself to make record of the reason why I take the Bible away from a church for teaching it incorrectly. The letter of Paul to the Romans. So all of the Bibles are all invalid, is what I've been able to determine by having them in print and unconfirmed at the names and the timing and the written record of all of the Bibles. Please give them to me. And it being pretty boring after that, me explaining to you that I'm trying to figure out a way to nicely put God back into the Bible. Hey, in this very, very romantic and intricate way. This went bad without God everywhere. So I'm trying to figure out how far apart, where to put God and where not to put God. So beware if you're tempted to exchange hardship for comfort. 1610 hardship for comfort. That is 1840. We think they said so. 16.6 years lower age limit of inertial pattern. Welcome to the OTL world. However, the necessity of that was to understand what the book said. We were reading from Job, so we'll go over to what the book said. We covered the barren relationship, which was all of your apocrypha. There are over 30 places in the apocrypha that have more barren relationships, of course, because you're barren. And so you're so barren with data. Your daughter's bleeding. Then Moses said to God, "Yeah, Moses answered, but they will never believe me or listen to me." So you see how they don't listen to Moses. They don't listen to. Kept calling them children, children, my children, my children, my children, my children, my children. You kept the legend is my children, my children, my children, my children. Moses. We have to puff on Moses a little bit better. Now, when Pharaoh let the people go, so we puffed on Moses a little bit better. Why did God let him go? God did not guide them by the road toward the Philistines, although it was the shortest, so he just took them the long way. For he said to the people, may change their heart minds on the way and see war before them and turn back to Egypt. So God made them go around the way of the wilderness. No, he didn't. He's like, fuck you guys. Yeah. He didn't want anyone to see. I'm taking you out. What that meant is that there were scavengers and bandits he was protecting them from because they left Egypt amazingly wealthy. Shame on you, Israel, for keeping a success of your book and not telling, not explaining the stories. Shit, fuck, this is all real. Walking around with God face to face. Israel, 6,000 year legend kept in the United States. Wow. And when Pharaoh let the people go. So there where you have 6,000 year places all over it, Egypt, and out of Egypt we needed to come out of the Israel. You were locked up there and you were bound, and they kept you as legend, and you didn't tell them it was for real. Saul was 50 years, so Saul did change his name to Paul. See, you have to read this thing. The other events of the reigns, the Jehoshaphat's, and then that made a little bit better sense to jump in Jehoshaphat. So taking God out of the Bible relegated Christianity to be the meaning of life is 42 kids. The meaning of life is 42. You're be taught a cult legend in your cult churches, kids. Your cult legend, you try not to be taught a cult legend. Try not to be taught a cult legend about a book they don't know how to read. And sit their asses down and try again is what it's always been. And that they've never had anything but a legend of a false messiah, kids. So please get a bunch of people here to come and listen, because this is beyond small. This is beyond small. This thing is the world without end. And then build that. See, it have kept as legend, nothing to do with God. up there sinning, taking God out of the tent of meeting, ignorant Christians in hell, and they shall continue to. For now greatness shall reach to the ends of the earth. So you continued, and look at where. So 3 billion people in the world, and only know a few. Was actually in the 90s, kids. What, 3 billion people in the world, and I only know the world. Few. Go over to YouTube, look up. That was Adam again, and the band. 3 billion people in the world, and I only know a few. Did he go to one of these 6,000-year churches and say, well, I got to get this book out, is what he was saying. We got to get this message of Jesus out. We got to move this thing out. So I moved this book out there in Russia, and I confirmed that that was a piece of Apocrypha, kids. So having spent so many years and so much time with that, I was able to determine it was all an entire apocryphal legend having to do with the Dead Sea Scrolls, kids. So all hindsight in 2020, most part, for a church that I did this in order to collapse. So this reason, ever since, so now that you understand that the Bible is this wobbling thing all around you, just lopping your balls off Jimmy Swaggart every time you misunderstand a word. It's your cults everywhere. We beg you, brothers, to keep going because he wanted you to turn from the wayward impulses of your youth. And so what did you do? You did that. You built these ministerial organizations. Look at us get better, but you got worse. You got lower, lower, lower. You were descending in consciousness. You're being more hags. You stayed as hags when you were down young, 4'9" and you grew up to be 6'4" tall, wobble idiots who aren't Adam and Eve, like the cult I'm taking the Bible away from Tuppenish, Washington Indian Reservation, explaining to you, cult organization, this tall, waferless nothing is not an Adam and Eve, just like Jimmy Swaggart plumped up. The differences in people, differences in genetics and backups, we're all different, kids. We're all fucking different. That fucking great apes. The God, in, down, up, down, left, right, made water come from a rock, formed people to serve him all over the place. Differences. Go up to Eskimo land, and you got a different, my Persian kitten, Mongolians. God was over there with Adam and Lilith. You needed some people to serve him while he watched a volcano blow up. He did shit like that. The fossil remains of fleas, the great apes over at gotquestions.org. Ignore from life sciences stuff. So we're not great apes. They kept your James Usher legend, though, and put the fossil remain broken, fossil remain broken, fossil remain broken, fossil remain broken, because Christians and science has never once organized these books around. When did we not know the age of the earth? When did we not know the age of the earth? What did we do with not knowing the age of the earth? What did we do not knowing the age of the earth? Well, I've known the age of the earth since I was 10. so about when I figured it out by reading. But the hardest thing to find was I was in my 30s before I was able to determine the ancestral origin of writing. Evolved into becoming. You just got lost ancestral origin writing. Of course you did. If you lost the Dead Sea Scrolls, you lost ancestral origin of writing. You lost, Christians. You kept the legend of a Messiah. You kept the legend of a book, Christians. You lost that ancestral origin of writing. You lost. So you lost Moses. You lost God. Your pulpit preaching cult performances lost conscious awareness that you were anything but ecstatic wonderments of Neolithica. We're teaching in ballads, and we have to keep going. We kept a legend, and we have to keep going. We're down to 25% of you. It's time retirement is kind of where I'm at. Dude, Pastor, you're down. You popped everyone out from Baptist. So Baptist, he popped everyone out to zero Bible cult. So take the Bible from the Bible cult that grew up from the 6,000 year Baptist cult. I like that beginning, the revelation of John. So you got the book wrong, the apocryphal revelation, St. John. St. John, I guess elsewhere. Or John. Jonas. The inconsistencies from various translations from Aramaic. Did we have it in Aramaic? Did you get it right in Aramaic? Did you get it right when you translated it from English? No, you didn't. And you only did it for some reason for a different story that wasn't in there. So you actually squeezed out the legitimate story of the Bible by keeping it sealed at Jesus. So we have to repair that for it. We're sealed Jesus legend into the revelation that John told you so. Welcome again to the OTO. How to interpret the book of Revelations. I always kind of expected that to say welcome this way. You memorize it. So you have a V. Draw a daisy. What's the name of your cat? So this is the revelation of John. When was this written? When was this canonized? Confirmation. Bad data. So follow along right here, please. Welcome again. This is getting you out of hell. The 96 CE thing. Absolutely. Around maybe John. I don't know who he was. So the author was probably a Christian from Ephesus known as John the Elder. When was John? Why was John on Patmos? Why was John on Patmos? Second up the psilocybin is why. The text states that John was on Patmos, a Greek island where most biblical stories says he was considered to be exiled as a result of anti-Christian persecution under the Roman Emperor Domitian. Died 100 AD. So let's venerated in major works, Book of Revelation. So he was exiled. We're gathering data because you know very little. Died 100 AD. Roman Empire unknown. Doesn't matter. Died 100 AD. Exile. He was there for 10 years, right? So when the book was written sometime between 96 CE, the author was probably according to most likely. So we don't. So exiled 900 AD, exiled on Patmos. So you needed to consider right here, how did this letter get off of this? 1996. Apocryphal Revelation, 96 CE. 96 CE. Authorship? Possible. We don't know. It's the Bible. Authorship. And the Bible came together wrong. And so here again, the 7 churches in the province of Asia makes sense of that for you later. Okay. So when was the book of Revelation written? When was the book of Revelation canonized? We talked about that. Right here, book of Revelation, canonicity and acceptance in Revelation. In Rome, AD 150, Justin Martyr did some stuff. Let's read that. So 126, 2016. To 1 moment. To 126, 2016. You have this in writing. Canonicity and acceptance of 2017. Gosh, I'm sorry. So you have all of this data, kids, on the false canonicity of the Bible, and the evidence of the acceptance of the book of Western churches comes early, Rome, AD 50. So known of in AD 50. Known of AD 50 first appeared. AD 50. Just Rome. Justin Martyr. I'm not going to find this. 8050. More buying or selling the books. This is all you got left in hell data. Clement of Alexandria made some sense out of it. Eusebius did, and I have that up there. Ecclesiastical history. I've got them both, by the way. And it is beyond it. He got it wrong. The church in the East, unknown for 4 centuries. So right there, you had it right. And you had false data, legend of authorship. They wrote that they didn't know what they were talking about. So your false use of this book, and you can't figure out the theorist not success and usation is both, and this left you in the way out there as to not understanding the canonicity of the actual Bible. They're keeping bad data at the same time as you guys have the bad data. So you guys have both a bad broken is right here. You're both broken. That's why I just need to take the whole book away from you. So you'll both being broken on evolution, evolved everything, and you just have a bad book is the time stamping of when this book came together. With invalid authorship of this, when was this canonized? Around Luther added immature pious mysticisms that you're wrong about. Calvin fucked up. 80-50. 80-50. 80-70. One second. It's hard to go back and forth. Yet in the 4th century, Council of Carthage, that's what I was looking at. For the Council of Carthage, one of many can't figure out what books. 4th century. 400. So this book is about the Council of Carthage and the time stamping and getting the church wrong, kids. That's what this book is about, as a piece of apocrypha in the Bible that's broke. To him who loves us and freed us from our sins with his life's blood, in a false story of a murder where he wasn't murdered. Jesus himself was not murdered. So to him who loves us and freed us from our sins. Freed you, what did he free you from? He freed you from the temple exercise of sacrificing legitimate animals and keeping that going. That's what he did. He destroyed Jesus destroyed the temple in order to get them to stop doing the animal sacrifice. That custom. It was entirely different. He destroyed the temple to get them to stop that custom. And we erased it anyway. We're probably going to end up not doing it any longer sometime when we just give up on it. And probably would have been about 1800s if they would have kept doing it through 1200s. I don't know if they would have. But we kept going with the Bible thing. Where did it come from? Where did it originate? It originated out of a legend. We kept going with the Bible thing. From the Council of Carthage, they didn't know what they were talking about. They didn't recognize that they were an apocryphal reunification to the year 2020. And they didn't read the book that well. So what I'm trying to really let you guys know is you've done such a poor job with the interior components of a thing called book, a thing called Bible, and then your false interpretation and correcting at each other, both having it. You've ruined everything in between. Everything in between, kids. Everything in between. Pope gave you a bad broken book. He Puff on the Pope from GotQuestions.Bill, who broke the internet in '99 for being born after 1907. You have an invalid piece of apocrypha. You have a secondary wiki source, Bible. You have this Bible thing all over the world, all over the place, and none of them are correct. God wants this out of print. God wants you to stop working with the kids because you took them out of it and you can't figure it out. And you also are not able to comprehend the legitimate meaning of that. The story. In the beginning, once upon a time, God separated the heavens from the earth. And he told you so. Then Moses said to God, if I go to the Israelites and tell them that the God of our forefathers has sent me to them, and they ask for his name, what shall I say? God answered, I am, that I am, that I am. Tell them I am has sent you to them. What was different about Moses? And God said further, you must tell the Israelites this, that it is Jehovah. That's what's different. The God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. So there's three barren inertials. We tied you into the year left in hell with the barren inertial pattern. If you can't memorize your way out, the call you're baptized in. But I did notice the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And right there, this was telling you a lot. So three stories, three other little barren apocryphatic pieces of where did you take God out of the Bible? You took him out when he was sitting there with Abraham, you took him out when he was sitting there with Isaac, and you took him back when he was sitting there with Jacob, and yet they had, and then you have the 12 tribes of the Islamic tribes that broke out on the exact manners, and you didn't keep track of that because you're all cults. So shame on you, Israel. That God of Jacob was sent to them. Your brothers, the same God. You have a hard time with monotheism, polytheism, and all of that. Use gravity. This is the name forever. Jehovah is this name. Use gravity. This is my title in every generation. So notice title in every generation. Well, my name, my title, Jehovah. I am that I am. Use gravity. Gravity worked. It has worked since the year 1802, and it's always worked. It's always been you kind of grew up a little bit out to understand that the Earth's not 6,000 years of age. With the remnant of 25% that you still left, puff on kids. No. Can't leave you guys out. Hanging low, hanging fruit. No. That meant you didn't look at what you was around you, and you shouldn't have been born. Is what I want. The having this book in any place unreconciled to the other places that it's an imprenta, like in this 1537, such as the 1602, like in the 1611 that had 75 books, the Living Bible piece of get you out of hell. And I'm doing this because of the piece of Apocrypha I distributed in the former USSR didn't have this warning label in it. And was sold at the turn of the year when kings of take field, Joab led the army. But so there's a lot in this book that you can't read over there. And oh, thou hast duped me. That was funny. The paths design more, and please don't. But for Nuneaton, her sacred piece. So let's talk about which one did I like the most? That was when Rabbi Shimon did something, and he the Simchat Torah. That's the one we need, kids. The Lamentations is where I was reading from. Israel, wake up. So that's what that meant there. Simchat Torah. Let me write that down. Her gates are desolate. Simchat Torah. That would be 420. Oops, phone just died. Yeah, it was telling me it's going to hurt. Virgin, bitter is her fate. Simchat Torah. That's not fit. That's your impotent. Virgins are cruelly treated, so let's talk about 16:10 minutial data. The blood of your daughters you're making maid. Her virgins, pastors, you broken maid. Her virgins are treated. 16:10. 16:10. 1859, how bitter her fate. 1840. 1840. Great Plague of London. Great Plague of London. Data from 1665 to 1666. 1665. 1666. This is Lamentations. Sorrows of the captive Zion. We're looking for Zion. We're looking for Z. Her adversaries have become her masters. Let's take it. Take it from the Jews. They fucked up. Her enemies take their ease. Yeah, puff on the Pope from Got Questions. For the Lord has cruelly punished her. Thank you, Pacolto. Okay, puff on Pope. That would be the. Which one is that? The New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem Apocrypha. We'll do that one next. New Jerusalem. Get us all out of hell because it's a really big stack with the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's a weird little pile of stack books. It's like more so the room I showed you upstairs. More so everything burned. Because of your misdeeds, you took God out of the Bible. Okay, that one fat. You did that. He's right here now. Deuteronomy 34:10. New Jerusalem. Because of her misdeeds. Deuteronomy 34:10. So this misdeed of misinterpreting the Bible without God and fabricating a marriage, mating, and that's you're getting worse and you're getting worse, and your marriage ceremonies were getting further and further from what God was expecting from you, and then you just kept doing what you're doing, and you're doing when you debated it. And notice how poorly you did when you emerged with the homosexual creativity, that you ended up with a very rampant disease. We're over there, one of your stupid Neolithic that mates too much with each other. That's Philippines. Pope, puff on the Pope for the Philippines. Got questions like also because the Philippines have so much debt. Pope, take care of your countries. Yeah, what do you mean we have to stop giving Pope money in that country? Pay off your debt. Pop on Pope from GodQuestions.co and stuff. American churches get $22 trillion now. You can do that in 7 years. You're America. Fuck. You morons. 6,000 your Earth Legend Church everywhere with the book. Some of you believe 6,000, some of you don't. Oh, broke there. Collate around who does and who doesn't. We used it different. Mormons, you're second. Mormons, you're dumb. Senials, you're perfect Baptist. Plink out a bang on the back side of your head. You kept James Escher. The days in this. Book of Mormon. Pearl of Great Price at No One to Help Her. And that you needed to the Joseph Smith testimony of you needed this in your library. I've got it upstairs, so don't worry about it. Which one? The Joseph Smith papyri, which is a secondary reuse of the same symbolism of a piece in other occult literature. So he used something from deep way over there that provided something different. And he did that properly with angelicals. Not realized when you did the Joseph Smith papyri, to be honest, Mormons, you've been following a false prophet, Mormons. The Joseph Smith papyri translation in provided you that. And the Pearl of Great Price did the same thing, where he provided you the gods. He couldn't figure out God and Moses speaking face to face, and so you got Mormon nomenclature of stupidity, senile elder great apes who don't believe in evolution, but rather believe in some stupid Mormonic demonic cosmogony. With the King James version of the Bible, kids, is that here where they followed that legend also, and they tried to wiggle it to understand and make it fit. Gods made us gods, because in Genesis, let us make man, plurality, let us. God and Moses were sitting there speaking face to face. God said, let us make man in our image. Moses, God, he is an albino male. Moses, we're not sure. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not him. At a fallen state. So you took at a fallen state would be evolution at her fallen state. So the adversary evolution. Because you have the word mocked, and you probably have a V somewhere. Adversary, yeah. Jerusalem sinned greatly. Moron, Jacob, great ape. Okay. Filthy, right? And so she was treated like a filthy rag here in Washington State, treating you like a filthy rag. Where I'm explaining to you, cult organizations all over the place. We have rises in birth defects, you filthy rags. That one's immoral incompetence. The rise in birth defects, Washington State doctors concerned. When you Google where around you do have this going on, well, I've got this thing called ancephaly. You have corona. You probably have something similar to ancephaly nearby, also somewhere else. And in Washington State, it is a simple, not grade ape, too far with homosexuality, with not rendering that one as wait, ancephaly. A filthy frag. So we have to take 1610 Menurchial down to 16.6 years of Menurchi 1840 right here. So your 1840 Menurchial data is a filthy tampon, literally. Because you didn't do anything with that. Electro wobbling is a single pinpoint of time. Where are we going to utilize this? What's going on with the brains of our children? And how will it help your church to figure it out? So you're naked without this data. I'm not lying to you. Thank you for hanging out, I suppose. We're collapsing a cult is fun. We've been doing this for a few days. Turn away. Uncleanly sprung her skirt 1610. So what were the scientists not looking at in the length of time the church systems were getting worse? The psychology looking at each other and recognizing that you're causing a deformity. And then as you're plumping out and as you're becoming less comfortable as your children are eating it poorly, and you're on these fast food diets, and you're all squished up and everything's on a timestamp. Everything's moving too fast. That Follow Me will provide the answer to education, to begin slower, a lot slower, a lot slower. By learning to write these as you become interested in other things, not TV. I'm interested in reading because of these picture books. What am I interested in? Slowing things way down. We have some of the greatest minds possible if we would take this generation that we actually do have some of the greater minds right now. We created this internet during '99 and we immediately popped it. So having some of the greatest creative look at the Chromebook I'm utilizing that right now in the year 2020 to utilize technology for the first time ever, to stop and just turn around and whoa, look behind you, look behind you, kids, kids, kids. You're looking at 22 Sephiroths, 7 years. Seriously. America's brilliant. America's then 7 years. America, come on, come on, come on. Every church system, your only goal is to get America out of $22 trillion in debt and stop voting. Your church system should only be that. You kept a legend everywhere else, and you cost the United States $22 trillion debt, not considering the blood of flow your inertial of your children. And here 1610 gets you out of that foolishness. And one, your grade ape children wrote something. Baptists who kept a legend. Which was always been when is going to how long is it going to take somebody to pull it out? The legend of Ben Yosef, the legend of Ben David, the legend of Moses, the legend of the apocryphatic formation of the Bible, the legend of the canonization of the Bible, the legend of your church histories not appearing in relationship to the misuse of this Bible, the legend of the formation of this Bible and it appearing in your churches. So, for example, Jehovah's Witnesses, they 2013 and 1985, and I got them upstairs, of course, because they're pieces of apocrypha. So, what did they do? They translated again and got the legend, and they did it with the Jewish Publication Society, who provided you outside the Bible more apocrypha to keep track with. You're not keeping track of anything, having lost the Dead Sea Scrolls. You're not, kids. You're not. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the triumphant reunification of everything into this book. We have no earth history with the selection I'm providing. Zion's hope of relief after punishment. So the Dead Sea Scrolls, here in a piece of Apocrypha, what darkens the Lord in his anger has brought upon the daughter of Zion. So the not interpreting all of the Bibles together with all of the Bibles not together. 1537, 1602, 1611, 1666. It's a wobble. Here the account ends. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts dismayed me greatly, and I turned pale, and I kept these things in my mind. Kept these things in my mind. Kept these things in me. it's a wobble. It told you what you didn't do, and you sat there getting pulpit preached performed to by a cult teacher, and deprived of sovereignty of your own legitimate conscious awareness, and you get slumped back and you slump back and you slump back, and you enjoyed your time playing the piano up down who's usher, and having all of your complications. Your church systems are broken little your deprived church system serious, because in the year 2020 they're all broken little mating cults based on some legend they can't figure out, having to do with the abolishment of the destroyed and abolished, having taken the Bible out of your schools in order to harm you further, the kingly power sovereignty in order to harm you further because you did that, and the greatness of the kingdom is we lost world history because the church did that. Pope. This is a bad book. Under heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. The kingly power is an everlasting power, and the sovereign. So we need the everlasting power, and we don't have a kingly power. You got it. So king authority. Pope, you didn't explain this book very well, and how your church did not come into be. Kingly power. Your church came into being through a legend. You have to start from zero. Never had a formative. The kingly power is an everlasting power. Start from zero. You never had a formative. Why did you use this book to deduce the age of the earth, Pope, and get it wrong? And the sovereignty should end up with. So 1610, having gotten it wrong, we'll take the 1611 Bible and say, take it from them. 16. Here they come in. That's a good one. 1610. Up. Daniel, my thoughts dismayed me. I turned pale. So you're looking at the blood of your children out there as you're preaching to them. I turned pale. You see, they literally have it going all through their minds. I kept these things in my mind and forgot Torah, took God out of the Bible. This is it off. Kept these things. It's the formative legend. Kept these things in my mind, meant you're keeping it as legend. You had the two Z's below that. I kept in my mind, which is your Shiva. Shiva is your king. You have the two Z's. As in Susa, the capital province. So a vision appeared to me. You have the two Z's. Daniel helped with that with an R. A vision. In the vision I was watching beside the stream with another R of the Ulea. I raised my eyes and we saw another R, and there I saw a ram with two horns standing. So ram with two horns standing. Let's capitalize on that. Being Ben David is swell. Meant I wasted a lot of money on books. Okay. If your Dead Sea Scrolls, here, you're right. You held on to your false cult organizations to horns. You were looking for something different, but this ramming had to your conscious thought of how you were repleting yourselves, and you left it now just to turn off. And the two horns were just turn offs. Right here, one on, one off, that you weren't getting budding. West and north. So west and north, east, west, north, south. So you butted And it is similar to that bouncing around, taking God out of the Bible. So the two horns being the two instances, you could have memorized Torah and learned the more under 200 times that God walked among those people and he made water come from a rock, and he wasn't just hovering in some cloud above it. You could have learned, but you didn't. So you watched around, but in West and North. Your cult teacher teaching you something false. Blah 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 blah. Children, you're in hell. Blah 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 blah. I watched your cult teacher teaching you something as success in your earth, legend of success in your earth, got everything wrong. Everything's wrong in this book. No beast could I stand before it. Year and a half can't turn them up. And I'm just letting you know that you're still in hell because I could stand before it. No one could rescue from its power. It did what it liked. It did what it liked. They do what they like. They display their. We're never wrong. We're just keeping it really real false. Earth of history legend. We're never wrong. We're never wrong. Cult organization. Everything in the Bible is about cult organization turning off. That cult organization, you have a special section in this book. Cult organization takes God out of the Bible. Baptist morons, stupids. You guys have a special spot for like the Darwin Award for cult organization. Got questions to Cultville. While I pondered this, thinking about why was it so hard to get out of the 6,000 year single detective cult organization? Why is it single? Yeah. Oh, we don't believe it, so we don't go to that church, or we just listen to them for different entertainment. You guys stop talking. No, pastors, you have no legitimate orthodoxy. You have no legitimate anything. What you shall do, what you were to have done in the formation of your teaching facility, where you stand up, we're going to teach you this and have confirmed it this way. And well, I'm a doctor. No, you're a grade 8 moron. You confirmed a grade 8 moronic legend on both sides. You evolutionists, that was the wrong way to go. And the time stamping of distance in time was you both went so far. Yeah, evolution, absolutely. We didn't evolve. And you figured it out as absolutely the Earth is older than 6,000 years. Absolutely it is. Thank you, NASA, for figuring that out. You wouldn't have gotten to the moon as Great Ape in 5,500 BC either. And NASA, thank you for not figuring that one out. Forgot the 6,000 year deductive point when they tell you that the Earth is older than 4.543 billion years of age, and they tell you there was a Big Bang and there was shit. Yeah, you guys forgot about Christianity. Oh, we don't give a shit about them. I know. Who cares? They're all close. Help them by utilizing your science to take down all of your churches. To you learn the words of the Bible, scientists, kids. You're all way out there. So pulling it out and having us handwrite Torah in our education systems is the starting point of outlining how that will help you. Number one, you use it to keep track of inertial data and as to what you're ever going to do with that data. What are you going to do with having it? What are you going to do with giving birth? What did you do to deserve and earn a place to get a concubinical relationship? Sex is sacred. You already know. So look at how it's actually become different and kind of sacreded out, but it's They'll just turn it a little bit and reject me. It'll be cute. I was bound taking the Bible away from you to make it happen. Stream and rushed at it with impetuous force. I saw an advance on the run. So, homosexuality, honestly, my dog liked my cat. Male, both males. He liked my cat. He had that weird little sexual relationship, and his balls were cut off. It is a weird animal thing. But if you can't control it at male lisp and you can't control it at rape, then it's a pestilence. If you can't correct your church systems at addressing it and not permitting it to happen, Pope, you're a moron. Homosexuality is what you got with the loss of ancestral origin, writing Pope. The simple prophecy yet again. I don't know what your book said, but I do. All of your churches lost at that. And all of your churches keeping the marriage ceremony specific to paying your taxes lost at it. Keeping the marriage ceremony to going to church and breeding, you lost it. Keeping the marriage ceremony to everything in the church, everyone's houses are all over abundantly stocked up with far too much of. Why do you have most of that? And it's beyond. The United States has just become far too far. The United States is a lot. In the year 2020, it's gone too far. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, kids. Most of you already understood that. Most of you already understood that. Bernie Sanders, you're senile. Neat guy, senile. Work a little bit closer with President Trump. Neat guy, senile. Both are the same. Utilize and correct at providing. You promised a configuration management plan. Well, all you other stupid seniles, keep him in office till he dies and he provides you that. And Sanders worked with them to do that. Type you seniles get together and figure it out. Go back. How much did the 80s cost you? Learn something. During the 80s, when taxes were a lot different, how'd you get so low? What did you do with that much? Why did you need it at that moment in time? And what were you doing? Making your education systems faultier. Unable to restore it, overblow, never going back and returning and correcting any form of legend that entered into science and was undocumented. Greek legend Jesus, kids. Greek legend Jesus. Greek mythology, not Jesus. However, you had to understand albino Jesus, real man, was Jesus with J, not Yeshua in Hebrew. To see that real Messiah Jesus was not Jesus. Rather, Jesus was a fabrication of myth from Greek. You can see that in the Greek exposition of the book of Galatians. Written. And there was a lot to consider, kids. And it got into Darwin in 1976. James Escher, kids, got into Darwin. What are you going to do with that one? You're going to Easton Press, level them. What will you have published since when you didn't correct either Darwin or the Bible. Hey guys, up to then in 1976, you were kind enough to remind us in your very special collector's edition that idiots who type too much in the year 2020 will grow up from great apes. Here's my message to Eastern Press. Guys, why did you not in 1976? Hey, there's a theory. It's still a everything involved theory. So let's go down the hill. Let's there's a nice flow. Let's see if we'll stop. Can we catch NASA data? They already know we didn't come and get apes, please, and just say turn them off. So homosexuality is the consequence of the relational attributes of having me come and pick this up at the end of the road cleanup project for 1,000 years. The serious, and Moses' obituary and a lot of other neat things in this book. This book is really, really big. Let's see what else I've got today. In the third year, Cyrus the king of Persia. There's so much information about the Persian. Let's grab some. Oldest Persian set. Sas is one of the oldest known settlements of Iran and the world, based on C14 data at the time of the foundation of the city. Based on C14 data, the time of foundation of the city as early as 4395 BC. 4395 BC. That goes beyond the age of civilization in Mesopotamia. Stop right there. The age of civilization, we needed that. Age of civilization in Mesopotamia, we needed that. To understand this Bible as Apocrypha, you had to go behind yourselves and everything and make sure it was all valid data. So the king of Persian kitty, my Mongolian Persian kitties. Susa is one of the Susa. Susa. Susa is one of the oldest known settlements. Is one of the oldest known settlements. Persia, 4395 BC works. We'll take it. And the world. So right here, and the world. So what happened? I'll explain. And the world, 4395 BC. For that date to show up and for us to find it in the year 2020, the history is accurate, obviously, because it matches the first record writing, is what that told you. So this 4,395 year right here from Susa, your false record of Earth history. Susa told you, archaeologists and paleontologists, this told you your invalid Bible, being a medieval legend itself in print, was 395 years breaking you in either direction to go, oh, what's going on in our archaeological research. So they're looking at scattered data of a people were there, and then they brought writing around the end of this. And that's why as early as showed up, as early as, because people were there, then they brought somebody from the Garden of Eden with writing, and that's when you paled down, and that's when you were less. You then started building things such as the settlement you're able to find that without metallurgy, kids. Without metallurgy, without the science of mathematics, which was embedded in the writing of Hebrew, Paleolithic writing is Paleolithic Hebrew. All writing originated from Paleolithic writing in 4000 BC. Just very few places had it. Other places had some of their own Neolithic etchings and controlled it, and that integrate into when that became, and you falsified it, you kept bad record in English. So you falsified the Bible in English, eradicated that you were wrong about that, the history of the Bible itself. It eradicated that you were wrong about the history of the Bible, leaving us in this Chernobyl-sized explosion. You don't know what you're doing wrong with your cults. You're too far gone, too far with the same legend. The same legend since the year 1907. Never once been unconfirmed. And that it never once having been unconfirmed, it meant you have a false Messiah. So 1551 and have no basis. The conventional verse divisions are based on 1551. Again. 1551. You're in this 70 AD paradigm of you're staring at the golden calf with Israel still having books in print unto numbered verses. You need handwritten Bibles. Bring lots of people. Try not to cuss at you too much for breaking the internet. Thank you. Margins opposite. We're going to get around to handwriting. Ben David's little Jimmy Swaggart done. Thanks for keeping the Bible around later. And sometimes it is such a nasty document. It's just you took God out of it. It's really weird like that. The Bible. Clarity of orders. Yes, so you lost all clarity of logic and staring that you were lying to your pulpit preaching performances. Legend kept. That was bad. David the Solomon. That wasn't wise. It kind of goes like that for a little bit. Helen, I'm going to kick off and type a little bit. Husband and married. So King James Version of the Bible, 100%. We went way out at keeping around it that was invalid by having it not recognizing that around the Bible was the apocryphatic relation of the invalidation of the interior guts of the Bible. Word Bible. So you got the Wiki Bible, you have the Catholic Bible, you have Protestant Bible, you have the Mormon Bible, Word Bible, Puffet Pope Bible, you broke. Puffet Pope Bible doesn't have God in it unless you memorize 2 whole verses that aren't there because cult organization took it out of the organization's website and invalidated the entire book. It's an invalid. 2020 invalidation invalidated the internet. I like that. 2020 invalidation invalidated the internet, invalidated Facebook, invalidated all printing, all writing, all librarians, all my librarian hags, according to the word of the Lord. Teach to the prophet Jeremiah. So you guys don't know what to do with these words because you teach them as legend. The Lord, I'm not sure what you do. Oh, how long, O Lord, have I cried to thee unanswered? So God and Moses face to face. How many times you read that verse? How many times? When I first read it, it didn't click. Let's go see what I first read and why it didn't click. Because I was in my it was somewhere in my 30s before it clicked. So I was reading this thing. I ran across Genesis 1:9 and I kept that one. And that's how I made it work. But why? What did I read? I read this thing twice. Everything. Nothing better to do but sit there and listen, read it, and distribute the Bible. I didn't know it was an invalid prophet. I'm sorry, Russia. The death of Moses. Moses was the only person who ever spoke with God face to face. So an invalid because Joshua was sitting there right like that. That's why it didn't resonate. So in your apocryphatic thing I read on my mission trip distributing the Bible in the former USSR, you had a lie and a false union to Deuteronomy 34:10, but you explained in your false legend of the Life Application Study Bible how you didn't go back behind yourselves and clean yourselves up at a false legend book. Kids, all Bibles in print, all false legends, kids. So the king commanded that this be done. So, why did that not stand out? I didn't really sniff it out at all. But man, I held on to Genesis 1:9. That was the one that set me free. 34:10. And I got the roadside geology at Washington in my classroom that year. And Moses, Lord. And he said he buried him in the land of Moab. So how did you bury his death record? The Israelites grieved. You buried over that, I suppose, but you didn't. The time of weeping and mourning was over. Time of weeping. How long did that take? Now, Joshua, you didn't have wisdom because Moses laid hands on him and he said, great ape in your prophecies. So the Israelites listened to him, and now you're all great apes and did what the Lord had commanded Moses and took God out of the Bible and didn't notice that God was an albino. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all the miraculous signs and wonders that the Lord sent him to do, who did exactly as said. So you took by taking God out of the Bible, you misunderstood about Moses, what he did. Invalid story. No one can see my face and live. That's a puzzle. Problem, so let's go see but I didn't read on my mission strip. But I did read, so it made different sense. Why was I reading this thing? What this specific what and why did I not catch it when I was 15? I caught Genesis 1:9. Now I'm worked away from religion. Do not be angry, thanks. Okay. 3:11. You need God, now show me your glory. Then Moses said, now show me your glory. Okay, and the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing you've asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name. I know you by name. Name is Jehovah. And you saw that elsewhere, but I'm not writing. That's a translative effort to take Jesus off the cross. And the Lord said, I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, such as those who don't know how to read these words, Christians, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion, Israel. But he said, you cannot see my face. Let's read that again. Then Moses said, now show me your glory. The Lord said, I will cause my goodness, my glory, to pass in front of you. And I will proclaim my name. You can hear it. You cannot see my face. And then apocryphatic legend. No one can see me and live. He cordoned them off. He lived. No one can. You can't see you reading it. This is a legend. This is meant to. It was a legend. Legend. Then the Lord said, there is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. Where you stand. I'll hide you in the cleft of a rock. Some translations told you that. This one said where you can stand. Right here. Look down on me. I'll poof it on. And cover you with my hand until I pass by. Don't look at me. How would Moses do and know? What does God look like with the magic proofing glory on inside of a tent? And what did that look like? So he did that to the Christians who can't read the stories and can't be interpretive analysis using expositions that the churches are broken cults. He went and standing there, this albino male man went like this. He poofed on his magic proofing glory up on Mount Sinai, singing down in the tent of meeting, and he's walking by. Joshua was sitting there recording what he's looking at. And he did, and got cleft of a rock up on a rock, looking down, staying away from, not too close. Can't see my face. Can't see my face. So he's like, don't look at me. Yeah, you don't want him to see. He's like, he's too beautiful. Can't look at my face. And he didn't let you see him in this book, which meant you took God out of the book as it's handwritten, and you didn't know what it was written down as. So you were passed by and passed over. Christians were passed out, left in hell at. You passed by, Christians. I passed by. Israel, remove my hand and see my back, but my face must not be seen. My face must not be described. What did he look like? Big magic. Underneath his feet were like sapphire elsewhere. And what did his face look like? You get no descriptive analysis of what the albino man who looks just like me, just like you, Not a great ape, not a weird little walks on water or floats around unless he wants to thing. And he can magically poof on his glory like that and cover up your brains for a second. Your brain's empty for taking him out of his books. The Lord said to Moses, chisel out 2 stone tablets. So we had the 13:10, 16:11. Chisel, like the first ones, and I shall write upon them. And I will write upon them the words that were on the first tablet. So, which you broke. I will write on them. I will write on them. The Lord said to Moses, I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets. They're face to face. Do this. Give me 2 stone tablets. I will write on the words face to face. The Lord said to Moses, chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them that were on the first tablets, which you broke, which is kind of a funny story. I will be ready in the morning. I love the precisions. Get going, and then come up on Mount Sinai with 2 stone tablets. Present yourself to me there on the top. Carry 2 heavy stone tablets up with you. No one is to come with you or be seen anywhere on the mountain, not even the flocks. So don't let anything follow you. Don't. I'm not going to tell you where you're buried, which he wasn't buried. Chiseled out 2 stone tablets. The first ones. Yet this entire thing is an apocryphatic legend. As the Lord commanded him, he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. He carried 2 stone tablets up there. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with them and proclaimed his name. What beauty came down right there. Cover his eyes. I'll even tell you my name and your tinted meeting when I turn on the magic proofing glory that I could shut your Christianity eyes to. Left you hell with this book imprint in the year 1907 and thereafter with a false seductive legend of everything went wrong in church organizations, cults. The Lord's passionate and gracious God, slow to anger, surrounding love and faithfulness. John 14:15. If you love me, you will obey God, Jesus, but you didn't. And we're maintaining love to the thousands. So we'll pick up at the tent of meeting, forgiving weakness. Think of Jesus was false. Rebellion and sin. That was taking God out of the Bible and not interpreting it correctly. That yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. That was taking God out of the Bible and not understanding the tent of meeting. They stared at the golden calf. Shame on you, Israel. This is finally judged. The children and their children and the sin of the fathers. 1859 sin. I'm here to correct you at Darwin. Cool. Darwin, we mostly corrected that already. Moses bowed on the ground. We actually did mostly correct it already. We already figured out the Earth is older than 6,000 years of age. We just haven't figured out where we went wrong at, and that was it. Having kept the ancestral origin that combated the Bible itself. The ancestral origin of writing showed up in your ancestral origin. You don't remember the history of writing because 4000 BC made a lot of better sense when writing appeared, and writing appears when Adam and Eve are expelled from the Garden of Eden, when they lost their magic proofing glory. That's when he obtained writing, kids. Those sorts, phonetic speech, I can sound out words, I can read, I can hear it in that little empty skull of your brains in the year 2020 for keeping the Bible in legends, reading it, sounding out the words. That's why do you keep doing it? Why did we keep utilizing the Bible in the broken format for so long? Because it made us worse, and it made us worse. Well, we made it felt better about something, and I'm not sure what. He passed around taking Bible away from cult church organization. Tall, white, waferless. Oh, I have no brain up here in Washington State. Not sure what. Pastor refuses to repent for us breaking into my house. Fat moron, great ape, stupid seniles. Two of them. Perfect example, broken school, broken school, broken school. Neither of them have educations. So they don't even know what the fuck's going on around them. Mormons. Oh, we know they don't even know what the fuck is going on. Them. They don't know each other through the formative religions that are all around you, and you all have different things. We need a single wait. Take 7 years off God and Moses face to face. Just sit your asses down and think about that. Hand write Torah. Hand write the Quran. Stop. Take your time and do that, because Quran first for the United States, because Jesus was sitting there talking to Muhammad, whispering the sweet nothings of the Quran into his ear, and the way that they recorded them was you're being public preached of the legend of a false origin that eradicated. They were lying cult teachers. This is because you didn't understand that they also had churches with scripture. We're talking scripture. Who has what and what went wrong with where was it not collated properly all over the world, everywhere. We all have our different opinions of what it meant. Thanks. You're also as hallucinative, stupid at what did it mean. Clean up all scripture. Eradicate it. Stop use of it. Only use your handwritten note of I'm never going to teach the Bible again from Deuteronomy 34:10, telling you that God and Moses spoke face to face. And then how many pages can you get down in the next 20 years from there to the Quran through Saul? And that takes you all the way to that period of what you did, the church's formation in the history, the record of churches who formed over Flat Earth Legend and Young Earth Retention Point in Washington State, moron. Churches who. So we have finally a catch at the distance in time the James Asher deduction would be kept and what it meant for the community. It's not good for Washington State at all. It's not good for America because it costs America $22 trillion since 7th president. George Washington. Cost the Bible in the schools. George Washington himself didn't know what to do to keep excrement out of Torah. The sacred union of They kept studying the Bible, but we're going to use it for whatever the fuck we want to use it for, anywhere elsewhere. And yet these people were learning from people like Sir Isaac Newton and George Washington and their leaders. They're the people that were standing up. Hey, like me, not like Hagon Pastor, who a cult performance over there, who I think his 7-year-old daughter is kind of probably special to him. A very important family. Guessing on daughter, however, but it's I had a daughter. I understand. He brought me back to the gate of the temple, 1610. When did any of your children ever begin to reach menarche? When did your wife? When? When? I don't remember most of the time. And accurately so, placed in the lower formative relationship of they don't remember, so they kept it at 16.6. However, matches 27 elsewhere where the we knew that in Austria through anonymous tip, an anonymous tip, I think about your daughter. 1610, an anonymous tip came in that the didn't show up until 2020, I suppose. That the average age of menarche in where was that over there, Austria or Hungary or someplace like that. The peasant girls menstruate much later than the girls of the city. I'm trying to memorize it. Well, in that particular case, yes. That's because they ate much different. And then they placed, they're typically malnourished. No, the peasant girls were not malnourished. They ate better than the city girls. The peasant girls ate better than the city girls. Witness this in the former USSR when I distributed the Bible. The peasants ate better than the good city girls. Fuck yeah. And they ate a lot better. Always working, never fat. So you have the wrong model of always working, never fat, into now we have to work hard to go to the gym because you're always working and you're getting fat. You don't know where you came from. Who'd you come from? Are you Neolithic from somewhere that there's plenty of Neolithica and the earth is older in your country? Africa's not German. Why haven't you figured that out? When Jesus' story began, his apocryphatic of catching you at the act of keeping the internet broken at 99, memorize your way out of the apocryphatic. No, he took out your sermon, dude. Sit your ass down and read the verse you told me that doesn't mean what it said. This book, you're all wrong with it. You don't understand it. You're all immoral, incompetent, inept with Jesus. Good God, teaching him wrong. When Jesus has finished discourse, he left Galilee left you out of the story, so you forget it. So the great 6,000 year earth, you have great crowds, so they have kept him. Great crowds followed 6,000 year earth, 6,000 year. Some Pharisees came and tested him by asking him, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife on any ground, such as 1610?" Without 1610 beginning. Have you never read what the Creator made for them from the beginning, male and female? This is a real legend of real history, kids. The Bible, a legend of real earth, legend of real earth. Who did ever thought? Where you went wrong. Yeah, you form cults that teach this. Got it out of your schools. So what were you doing in 1961? Cult. Teaching a legend, making it better, refining it, capitalizing on your student ties. However, these men in 1961 were studying a lot different, in a lot of different ways, and a lot different relationships, and then mostly all day long, and provided a lot different answers into their research. And you guys' research was into nothing that just kept how long can you keep the research of the Jesus guy until you couldn't figure out that he himself was an apocryphal legend cult organization. You were not able to determine that, Jimmy Swagger. You weren't able to determine that for some reason. You couldn't admit and wake up and face the facts. Is who Randy it is. Wake up and face the facts. This is so medieval. So that Jesus, not me, is a good way to begin. Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna go do something more. Bless you. So.